Not every question is innocent. Some questions are actually traps, designed to control you, guilt-trip you, or twist your decisions. And the scary part is, most people don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. You think you're just having a normal conversation, but really you're being pulled into someone else's game, a game where the rules are hidden, and the goal is to make you feel like you're wrong. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from a conversation feeling drained, second-guessing yourself or even guilty, even though you didn't do anything wrong? That's not an accident. Manipulators know that questions are powerful because questions put you on the spot. The moment you start explaining, defending, or justifying yourself, you're already playing into their hands. You're no longer in control of the conversation, they are. And here's the trick. Manipulative questions rarely sound dangerous. They often sound casual, innocent, or even caring. They'll come disguised as curiosity, concern, or love. But underneath, they're weapons. They're designed to get you to bend, to doubt yourself, to do something you didn't actually want to do. And if you don't spot the pattern, you'll keep falling into the same trap over and over again. That's why knowing these questions matters. Because once you recognize them, you stop being easy to control. You stop letting someone else pull your strings. And the next time someone tries to corner you with one of these so-called innocent questions, you'll see it for what it really is, a tool of manipulation. And in that moment you'll have the power to shut it down before it even begins. Why this matters: manipulators don't usually come with warning signs. They don't walk into your life holding a big red flag that says, "I'm here to control you." No, it's much more subtle than that. They use words, and questions are their favorite weapon. Why? Because when someone asks you a question, you feel an automatic pressure to respond. It feels rude to stay silent. It feels unnatural not to explain yourself. That little social instinct is exactly what they exploit. The moment you start explaining, you're giving them power. You're opening the door for them to twist your words, to make you feel guilty, or to push you into justifying something you don't need to justify. Suddenly you're not standing firm in your own choice, you're defending it. And that makes you look weaker. And manipulators thrive on that weakness. They know that if they can get you on the defensive, they've already won half the battle. The dangerous part is how normal these questions sound. They don't come across as threats. In fact, they often sound like concern, like curiosity, or even like love. That's why people miss it. You think, oh, they're just asking. But hidden underneath is a demand, a judgment, or a trap. It's like sugar-coated poison. You swallow it before realizing how toxic it actually was. This matters because manipulation steals your peace of mind. It makes you question your own decisions, your worth, even your sanity. It traps you in cycles where you keep trying to prove yourself, explain yourself, or win back someone's approval. And that cycle can go on for years if you don't see what's happening. But once you do see it, once you know the exact questions that manipulators use, you can stop the cycle in its tracks. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to argue. All you have to do is recognize the game and refuse to play it. And that one shift, it changes everything. Instead of being controlled by someone else's words, you take control of the conversation, and more importantly, control of your own choices. That's the real power in knowing what to look for. The 5 manipulative questions. The first one is, why can't you just? At first it sounds like a simple suggestion, maybe even harmless. But what it really does is frame you as difficult, unreasonable, or unwilling. The hidden message is that you're making life harder than it needs to be, and suddenly you're pressured to explain why you can't just do it their way. It's a guilt trip disguised as advice. The best way to respond is not to fall into defending yourself. Instead, calmly say, "That doesn't work for me," and leave it at that. You don't owe a justification. The second one is, don't you trust me? This one is powerful because it flips the script. Instead of focusing on whether their request is reasonable, it shifts the spotlight onto you, making you feel guilty for doubting them. They're trying to force compliance by suggesting that saying no equals a lack of trust. The truth is, trust isn't about blind agreement. You can respond by separating the issue from the person. This isn't about trust. It's about what feels right for me. That keeps you in control. Third, we have, if you really cared, wouldn't you? This is emotional blackmail in disguise. It weaponizes love, loyalty, or friendship, turning them into bargaining chips. The manipulator wants you to prove how much you care by doing what they want. But real care isn't measured by obedience. A strong response is caring doesn't mean I have to do everything you ask. That draws a boundary, while reminding them that love isn't a test. The fourth one is, am I the only one who? This question isolates you, making it sound like everyone else is on their side, and you're the odd one out. It creates doubt and pressures you to conform. But often it's an exaggeration, and you're not actually alone in your view. Instead of scrambling to defend yourself, say, I can only speak for myself. That keeps you grounded in your truth without needing to prove you're not alone. And finally, why are you so sensitive? This one is pure gaslighting. It dismisses your feelings and makes you doubt whether your reaction is valid. The goal is to shut you down so they don't have to take responsibility. The best response: don't argue about your sensitivity. Calmly affirm my feelings are valid and move on. The moment you stop apologizing for your emotions, their tactic loses its grip. Practical empowerment. Here's the truth. The key to dealing with manipulation isn't to out-argue, outsmart, or outshout the manipulator. That's exactly what they want. They thrive on dragging you into endless debates, making you defend yourself, and wearing you down until you give in. The real strength is in refusing to play the game altogether. Once you see the trap for what it is, you can calmly step out of it, and that's where your power lives. The first step is awareness. Simply recognizing these questions as manipulation changes the dynamic. Instead of reacting emotionally, you pause, you breathe, and you realize this isn't about me being unreasonable, untrusting, or sensitive. This is about them trying to control the narrative. That little shift in awareness keeps you from getting hooked. The second step is calm, firm responses. You don't owe long explanations. In fact, the less you explain, the more control you keep. Phrases like "that doesn't work for me," "I can only speak for myself," or "my feelings are valid," are powerful because they shut down the trap without feeding it. You're not giving them material to twist. You're standing your ground with clarity. The third step is emotional detachment. Manipulators succeed when they trigger your emotions: guilt, fear, doubt. But when you learn to detach, you stop giving them access to those buttons. You remind yourself their opinion doesn't define me. Their pressure doesn't control me. That inner shift is like armor. Finally, remember this: silence is a tool. You don't have to answer every question, especially if it feels like a trap. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. By not engaging, you send the message that their tactics don't work on you anymore. When you combine awareness, calm boundaries, emotional detachment, and the confidence to stay silent when needed, you become unshakable. Manipulators can try all the tricks in the book, but none of it sticks, because the real power isn't in controlling others, it's in controlling yourself. And the moment you stop giving away your energy to manipulation, you reclaim your peace, your clarity, and your freedom. The moment you stop falling for these questions, you stop being easy to control, and that's when your real power shows up. Think about it. Every time you recognize a manipulative question for what it is, you're not just winning a conversation, you're breaking a pattern that may have been running your life for years. You're stepping out of a cycle where someone else decides how you feel, how you act, and what choices you make. That's freedom, and it's deeper than most people realize. Because manipulation isn't just about one question or one person, it's about conditioning. It's about how often you've been trained to second-guess yourself, to explain yourself, to shrink so someone else feels bigger. Over time, those little moments chip away at your confidence, until you start believing you really are unreasonable, too sensitive, or not good enough. That's the invisible prison manipulators build with words, and most people don't even notice they're in it. But when you finally see the pattern, something shifts inside you. Suddenly the same question that used to make your stomach drop now just sounds like noise. The same guilt trip that used to keep you up at night now feels like a weak attempt to control you. You realize their power was never real. It only worked because you gave it permission. And the moment you stop giving that permission, their hold over you disappears. Here's the beautiful part. Every time you refuse to fall for manipulation, you're not just protecting yourself, you're teaching others how to treat you. You're drawing invisible lines that say, I respect myself, I know my worth, and I won't let anyone take that from me. That's the kind of quiet strength that changes your life, one choice at a time. So remember this: you don't have to argue, you don't have to prove, you don't have to bend. You just have to recognize the trap and choose freedom. Because real power doesn't come from controlling others, it comes from refusing to be controlled. And once you live from that place, nobody can take it away from you. Now I want to hear from you. Out of all the 5 questions I shared, which one have you heard the most in your life? Was it the guilt trip, the trust card, or the classic "you're too sensitive"? Drop your answer in the comments, because I guarantee you're not the only one who's dealt with it. When you share, you're not just telling your story, you're helping someone else recognize what they might be going through right now. And who knows, your comment could be the wake-up call they needed. Think about it like this: every time we talk about these things openly, the power of manipulation gets weaker. Because manipulators thrive in silence. They rely on you keeping quiet, doubting yourself, and thinking you're the only one. But when you put it out there, when you say, yes, this happened to me too, you take away their invisibility. You remind yourself and others that we're stronger when we see the game clearly. And if you found this video helpful, don't just watch and scroll away. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel is all about giving you the tools to see through manipulation, build unshakable confidence, and protect your peace. Knowledge is power, but only if you keep feeding it. And I promise I'll keep sharing everything I know to help you stand stronger in your life. So comment below with the manipulative question you've heard the most, and subscribe if you're ready to keep growing. Together we can make sure you're never an easy target again.